2NURFM.com, a broadcast service of the University of Newcastle.
It's something that we've known about for a while. It's sort of a shift in culture, maybe, that Australians are shifting from beer to wine. None more so evident than in our area, which is great with the Hunter Valley and some of the great wines. Joining me from the University of Newcastle, Dr. Julie McIntyre, talking about a study that they're involved in at the moment. Good morning to you, Dr. McIntyre. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. I'm very well, thank you. And you?
Good to have you here. Yes, and I was mentioning this research we've known for a while in Australia. Maybe it's something to do with our culture and our cultural change, but it's something that's more or less been also propped up a little bit by your studies and some studies you're doing at the moment, which has got some great partnerships involved in them.
That's right. So the study that's been recently funded by the Australian Research Council is for what's called a linkage grant, and the study's called Vines, Wine and Identity, the Hunter Valley, New South Wales, and Changing Australian Taste. So, as you say, the point about shifting choices in consumption is a part of what's informed the study. There's another branch to it too, which is related to the partner organisations we're working with, which is that there hasn't been a really deep study of the origins of the Hunter Valley wine region. So there are two things going on here. One is that we're doing what is effectively an origin study of the region in terms of history and heritage. So history is the stories and heritage is the material culture, the objects, the images and so on related to that. And what this is also going to be able to tell us is two things. One, what it's meant to the region's working community to have this industry in terms of the expertise, the people's lives and so on, but also because it's often producers who drive consumption choices for people drinking wine or eating food and so on through a range of ways. And something that we're very interested to explore is it's recognised that from the 60s, which is a point at which, the 1960s, a point at which the Hunter Valley made what was then considered fairly well Australia's finest wine. So up to that point and then from that point, how is it that the industry in the Hunter has particularly attempted to and succeeded in shaping consumer taste? So it's taking a small area but asking some big questions.
Who else will benefit from the information that you hope to get out of this?
Okay, our partner organisations will be among the beneficiaries, but there will also be broader beneficiaries. So I should introduce our partner organisations. The Hunter Valley Wine and Tourism Association, and from that organisation, partner investigator Brian McGuigan, whose name will be quite familiar to many people, is involved in the project. We also have Jay Tulloch from Tulloch Wines and Phil Ryan, who was the winemaker for a long time at McWilliams Mount Pleasant. But also the association's membership is involved and a beneficiary in that they can take some of the findings that we make and use those however they like. So there's the utility of us asking academic questions for which the beneficiaries are broadly the Australian public understanding our choices as consumers better, and also having a deeper sense of what is Australia's oldest wine producing community. And then the industry, as I say, can take some of the material that we find as well. We have skills around finding knowledge and stories, and then they can adapt them in the way they'd like to. We will take that material and also shape it into new forms of knowledge. But the other partner investigator and organisation that also extends that sense of the beneficiaries being really the broad Hunter community is Newcastle Museum. So the partner investigator, Julie Baird, who's the Deputy Director of the Museum and lots of fun to work with, as are the wine guys, they're terrific. Julie will be curating an exhibition, a major exhibition we plan to hold in 2017. It'll be the first time there's been an exhibition about Hunter Valley heritage around wine. And really, even though there are, in other parts of the world, there are wine museums, for example, in France and obviously Napa Valley, which, you know, our thoughts are all with the people who are living with the aftermath of the earthquake there today. Yeah. Yes, that's right. So in places like Napa Valley in California, which is a big wine district, there are museums and exhibitions and so on, but we haven't really had something like that of a public nature in the Hunter. So I'll be working with Julie and the museum to do that exhibition as well.
Well, you'll be looking at it from the historian aspect. Who else will be working alongside you looking at different aspects?
So the chief investigator on the project is John Gomov, who is in a high governance role here at the university as the Pro-Vice-Chancellor of the Faculty of Education and Arts. It's probably what he's best known for at the moment, but he is a leading food sociologist and increasingly is publishing in wine sociology. So sociological questions are to do with contemporary expressions of taste and culture. And so that's where his expertise will be crucial in interpreting the material that we come up with. But also David Dunstan, who was a wine historian before I was. So he and I are Australia's most focused Australian historians working in wine. And David is a part of our team, which is very exciting. The other member of the team is James Simpson, who's a professor based at Carlos III University in Madrid. Mm-hmm. The reason he's really important to the project is that you can't make sense of anything unless you compare it with something to give it a context. And James Simpson is essentially the world expert on colonial wine business. So he's published a very important book to help us understand how across the world the first wave of wine globalisation occurred in the second half of the 19th century. And we're living at the moment through the kind of last phases of the rise, but still continuing effects of the second wave of wine globalisation. So James is going to be a crucial member of our team for helping us analyse the material.
Now, we're almost out of time, but can we get you back again to talk as you go through this study and let us know a bit more when you get towards the end of some of your findings and what you can reveal from it?
Yes, of course, Dave. That'd be terrific.
We look forward to that. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Dr. Julie McIntyre joining us from the University of Newcastle, where it's now 3 away from 12. The latest in news coming up soon.